Hello, Ryan McGinnis here for the McGruntled podcast. I'm in between clients and I've been thinking about something I want to address. I think that there is a reckoning coming to the Evangelical Church that is akin to the Catholic Church clergy scandal. I think it might rival the Catholic scandal. I think it has the capacity to be bigger than that scandal. And what I'm talking about is evangelical tenets of purity culture. And so much of my career now, I find my times in these seasons of these like niche demographics. And a lot of what I'm doing seems to be related to the trauma created, emotional, even physical trauma created by purity culture in particularly the evangelical church. I don't know if it's exclusive to evangelicals because as I think about institutions that seem to allow for behavior to be hidden or justified, rationalized, swept under the rug, pressure applied to victims to forgive, to move on, to act like things didn't happen, victim blaming, that it is somehow the person's fault, a woman's fault for causing a man to stumble, and so she's got ownership in her own victimization. It's bad. It's really bad. And I think like a lot of people, when they open their eyes up to something, they realize that they are the victim of something, but they are also the perpetuator of a thing. And so for the clergy who visit my page from time to time, you're probably sitting here thinking, myself included, like, I'm a victim of that. Like, yes, I have not allowed myself to anything. I have had it imposed on me from a very young age. This concept of purity whereby I can't be honest and genuine with myself about my own body and how my own body operates. And I can be honest with certain people, like if I go on a men's retreat, and then we can all talk about how much porn we watch and what of a struggle it is, and then act like we're going to control it but not really do anything, but weaponize shame. Even though we talk about not being ashamed, we're going to weaponize shame anyway as a means of trying to liberate ourselves from this addiction to pornography. And then men behaving in ways by virtue of not actually confronting, addressing, and making peace with their sexuality. Men behaving towards women in very pretentious and confusing ways, like not being forthcoming about their agendas and their desires. And so women in the church being gaslit and having to be suspicious of men because Christian men aren't allowed, aren't permitted to be forthcoming about their own desires and what they want. And so anytime you sort of suppress urges, they amplify, they magnify. So you've got these sexually repressed men walking around trying to teach other men how to be pure, when really what they're doing is teaching other men how to hide so that they don't get found out for who they are and how to limp along through life. And, my wife Amanda was just talking about a very powerful moment where you wake up and realize maybe me and my body and my feelings and my desires are not the problem. Maybe it's what I've been taught about my body and how to interact with my body and how to interact with others and how to. So, you know, human sexuality is one of those places where evangelicals, it's like a hill to die on. That if we don't educate our children about sexuality, the world is going to, and oh dear God. But let me tell you something. If the church will never get a hold of my children as it pertains to their sexuality. Because statistically, like the stats of cheating and closeted homosexuality and abuse that's being covered up by institutions, and the stats don't even come close to what I know is going on in churches by virtue of my career. Because we keep it secret, we keep it quiet, we silence victims because it's bad for the institution. Well, guess what? It's coming for you. The day of reckoning is coming because there's too many victims, and silence is no longer an option as they heal. Part of their healing process is going to be calling out on the carpet an entire culture that has destroyed a very wonderful thing, and that's evangelicals and purity culture. They've destroyed sex for people, and it's and sex is just like the tip of the iceberg. It's the outer workings of the trauma of this evil. Now, for those pastors who like are still coming to my page and are courageous enough to recognize like, oh shit, yeah, I think you're right. There might be a problem here. Yes. So what I was saying earlier, the problem is you feel like a victim, but you also perpetuated it. I did too when I was in the ministry. Right? Because I'm this person who's got this libido that freaking reaches to the moon. And so the louder someone is about purity culture, the hornier they are. That's just the truth, man. It's just sexual repression at its worst, and it creates all kinds of really seedy and disgusting behavior. And I see it in other people. I saw it in myself. I still see it today. I see the pain it's causing women, and what it's taking from them in adulthood. And that's what angers me the most, is that we are in the imposition of purity culture on young people, adolescents. We are taking away their ability to function as adults and have healthy sexual relationships. So, again, the church, the evangelical church in particular, I don't know what church might be doing it well, but I'll tell you right now, the evangelical church should sit down and shut up about sex, because you're ruining lives. I don't know what else to say about it. Repent. Take a look at what you've done and like own it. Don't get defensive. So like, oh man, yeah. Like talk to some of your parishioners who are now in their 30s, who grew up going to Bible camp, who grew up sitting through Sunday school, being lectured to about their sexuality, and then being divorced from their body, not knowing how to enjoy sex, not knowing how to ever enjoy sex with their husbands, preaching this bullshit narrative that sex is designed like one person, and on this night it's okay, as if it's a light switch, right? That on your wedding night, on your honeymoon, you're going to lose your virginity and enjoy sex. I don't know a single person comes into my office that for whom that scenario worked. And there's generations of Christian men and women who are frustrated by this setup, who are teaching it to younger generations, who are dealing with shame, who are unable to talk to their spouse in ways that are meaningful because they're so afraid they're going to lose everything because, oh my God, I like pornography. Well, of course you do. Of course you do. Like, and I'm not saying that pornography is good, because it certainly isn't, but I'm being interrupted, so I need to wrap this up. It's not good at all. It's like a Big Mac compared to proper nutrition. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll say more about it if you want me to. Just comment. Bye.